Welcome back, college football fans, to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my reaction and recap to Monday night's national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. And congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Final score, Ohio State 34, Notre Dame 23. So Ohio State hoists the trophy at the end, and to the victors go the spoils. So Ohio State was able to capture their 9th national championship in program history, and the Big Ten finds themselves on top yet again for back-to-back seasons in claiming the national championship. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. Welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, the channel where we examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape. And it's very, very bittersweet for me to be here with you. I mean, what a great college football season we witnessed, and I think it was punctuated by the great matchup that we saw take place Monday night down in Atlanta, televised on ESPN. You see what I did there? And it was nice to see a national championship game actually live up to the hype. I mean, I went into this game, as I shared with you on my previous episode, my national championship game preview and prediction episode. I was very excited, and I hadn't been this excited for a national championship game in quite some time, but it was great that it lived up to the billing and the expectations that most of us had. But the thing is, it's very bittersweet because that means that officially the 2024 college football season is now in the past. It is in the rearview mirror as we look ahead now to 2025. But all that separates us between kickoff is an 8 months, and I'm sure they will go by quick, as they tend to do this day and age. But anyway, what a great game that we were witness to in Atlanta between these two blue bloods, these two historic programs, both in the top 4 in most wins in college football history. I mean, what a great game. What a great game. It was the most watched game of the entire year via the reports from ESPN as far as viewership per household. And, just some things I wanted to just mention about this matchup. And welcome to all of you. If this is your first time joining me here on the channel, welcome. For those of you who've been with me for a while, I appreciate your continued support, your attention, and everything that you've done for the channel this season. It has been yet another successful season, thanks to you, because without you, my fellow college football brothers and sisters, this would not be possible. I do this for your enjoyment, your entertainment. It's just a blessing for me to be up here and share my love and passion for all things college football with you. But what I had going into this game, my prediction was it was going to be a final score, Ohio State 33, Notre Dame 17. So I was in the ballpark. All right, I wasn't too far off, but there were some things that maybe went a little bit correctly, and a couple things that went a little bit awry that I share with you are going to be the keys to victory for each squad. And please, if you're with me, let's continue to get the word out there about the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Please subscribe, like, share, rate, comment. Please, I always encourage, ask for, and welcome your involvement. So please get involved. Light up the comments section below in response to any of my hot takes, my opinions, or the facts that I present and share with you. Or if you just want to mention college football in general, can't wait to hear from you. Maybe to get the conversation started, let me ask the Ohio State fans this particularly. All right? Now, during my previous episode, I shared with you that win or lose, these rumors, this talk about Ryan Day being fired, that was put to bed. That was tucked away, never to be released ever again. All right? And here they are. They're victorious. They're triumphant. He's not going anywhere unless he leaves under his own decision. But let me ask you this. After losing for the fourth time to your arch rival to the north, that's where a lot of this talk was coming from. He's not going to get over the hump. He can't win the big game. He can't answer the call or answer the bell. So let me ask you this, Ohio State fans. Would you rather it play out the way it did this season, by losing to Michigan but winning the Natty, or would you rather beat Michigan, let's say reach the national championship game, and lose the Natty to another team? Let me know what you think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, all I know of the rivalry is what I see and what I hear, what I feel from the outside looking in. So I will not judge, all right? I just want you to be honest. But remember, I do have the right to disagree, all right? So Ohio State fans, blow that up. Michigan fans too, why not? If it was the same example, what would you rather do, all right? So 34-23 was the final score of the game. And my positives, what a great season it was for both of these programs. They both end the year 14-2. Ohio State's 2 losses to their arch rival Michigan, as I mentioned, then a road loss to number 1 Oregon by 1 point. And Notre Dame, that week 2 devastating loss at the time against NIU, the Northern Illinois Huskies in South Bend. They played perfect football after that, and then their second loss here in the national championship game. But what I really enjoyed watching was these 2 quarterbacks, all right? And if you're not on board yet, and the Iowa coaching staff, I think they finally have adapted and not died. But if you still do not believe that in this day and age, how college football, how our sport has adapted, how it's played now, I got a little tongue-tied there, that if you do not have a mobile quarterback, you cannot expect success. You must have a quarterback that is a little bit fleet of foot, who can make things happen when the pocket breaks down, someone who could extend the plays, or even you can go ahead and call their number for a scramble of 3 to 6 yards. You must have that. Gone are the days of the pocket quarterback, the statue there in the backfield. Those days are done, all right? And that was on full display Monday night between these 2 teams. I mean, Will Howard for Ohio State ultimately was named the offensive MVP of the ball game, and deservedly so. I mean, his numbers, very impressive. He was 17 of 21 for 231 yards, 2 big touchdowns to 0 interceptions. I mean, the guy played almost flawless football on Monday night, kind of like Mortal Kombat back in the day with a flawless victory. I believe he started 14 of 14 out of the gate was Will Howard. Now, his counterpart, Riley Leonard for Notre Dame, I mean, really showed up and showed out also. And I mentioned that about this cat, that this guy leaves everything on the field. I mean, I've been so impressed watching him the last 3 seasons, this year at Notre Dame, the previous 2 seasons at Duke. Riley Leonard's numbers, he finished up 22 of 31 for 255 yards passing, 2 touchdowns also, and also to 0 interceptions. So both of these quarterbacks did whatever they could to get their teams to the finish line to claim victory, but somebody had to come up short. All right, so I was very impressed. I mean, very, very impressed with both of the quarterbacks. Now, the other individual that could have laid claim potentially to the offensive MVP was Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins. He ended up carrying the ball for 11 carries for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Now, that 100 yards can be a little inflated because 70 of those 100 came in one play. Ohio State's opening drive early in the third quarter, which led to a touchdown, which ultimately was the final nail in the coffin for Notre Dame. And also Quinshon Judkins was on the receiving end of one of those two passing touchdowns for Will Howard. So I could see why Quinshon Judkins could have maybe claimed that trophy, that award, but it had to go to the captain, quarterback Will Howard. I mean, just a great performance that we saw. I mean, he wrote his history, he chronicled his name into the annals of Ohio State football history with that performance. Now, defensively, I mean, these defenses, and we knew they were both very stout, very physical. They really got after each other. I mean, both defenses tallied 2 sacks. 2 sacks for each squad. Ohio State tallied 7 tackles for a loss, while Notre Dame tallied 5 tackles for a loss. The only turnover of the game, well, your classic turnover. There was a turnover on downs early in the third quarter, which I'll get to that here a little bit more in depth shortly here in the episode. But the only turnover was forced by that Notre Dame defense, as it has all year. I mean, one of the nation's leaders in turnover margin. So they put their best foot forward. It just came down to, like I predicted in my previous episode, just way too many weapons, way too many pick your poisons when it comes down to this Ohio State offense. And that's what proved to be ultimately the deciding factor. I mean, when Notre Dame at one point got down by 3 touchdowns, it was going to be very, very unlikely that they'd be able to get back into the game, force overtime, or win. But they did give it their best effort, and I applaud them for that. But Notre Dame's offense is just not built for quick strike. They're more of a possession type offense, win in the trenches, run it out, little body blows here and there. And it just kind of got away from them. They definitely got off script. I mean, and I was very surprised. And I think that's what really led to the demise of this Notre Dame team in this game. Is I was expecting them to really, really rely on the running game, and they really couldn't muster much. I mean, yes, their stud running back, Jeremiah Love, has had an ongoing knee injury throughout the college football playoffs. He really proved to be ineffective, but overall, Notre Dame could only muster 53 rushing yards on 26 attempts, and their leading rusher was Riley Leonard, 17 carries for 40 yards. So if Notre Dame, and that's really what Notre Dame's DNA is, for them to be successful, they have to create some friction. They've got to get something going on the ground, to establish that running game, that rush attack. It just wasn't there. All right. Now, they did make it, and Notre Dame, very interesting in the third quarter and then the fourth quarter. But I think a lot of that was at that point when Ohio State was up by 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, and then they added the extra field goal as well. I think they kind of went into clock mode or prevent mode very early at that point, letting Notre Dame really get whatever they wanted underneath, but just trying to keep that ball in front of them. But yeah, it got too far away from Notre Dame. And I said this in my previous episode. For them to be there, for this to be a 4-quarter game, Notre Dame had to be within 2 possessions. And if they would have done that, we could be having a totally different conversation here today. All right, we could, but it wasn't in the cards, not taking anything away from either team. All right, I'm not one of those who likes to say, well, if this team would have done that differently, it definitely would have been a different outcome. No. What happens, happens. Now, I'm saying maybe it could have, yes, but should or would have, I don't get into that business. I don't, okay? Because what you see is what you get, all right? Other things that I really enjoyed about this game, and I mentioned this, I said a key to a victory for Notre Dame, and this is what's plagued them the entire year, it has been their special teams play. I mean, and it really was something that came back to bite them in the butt once again. I mean, I'm trying to keep this PG-13 today. When Mitch Jeter has struggled mightily the entire season, midway through the fourth quarter, Notre Dame is now back in the game, down 16 points. It's 4th and goal, I believe, from the 8 or 9. So at that point, Coach Marcus Freeman elects to go for a field goal to further chip into that Ohio State lead. And I believe it's the right call. It is. If your field goal kicker, if you don't have faith in a field goal kicker to make a kick from basically 30 yards in, I don't know what to tell you. I don't. I mean, that was the right call. You know, I know a lot of people are going to say it wasn't, but at that point, if they execute, they're on the board, they're getting closer, the momentum is still with them, their crowd is then going to be even more raucous, staying into the game. But unfortunately, Mitch Jeter in the kicking game let them down and doinked it off the left upright. And also something else with their special teams, and this is really more or less on the coaching staff to make this decision. I did mention this a little bit ago. Being down, I believe it was 28-7. It's 4th and 2, I believe, early in the third quarter with just under 12 minutes to go. Notre Dame sends out their punting unit. They do a fancy schmancy fake. Now, the play is there. I mean, it was a decent pass, a little out cut for about a 6-7 yard pass. The play was there. The pass looked okay, but unfortunately, the Notre Dame receiver could not bring it in. It's incomplete, and it leads to an Ohio State field goal. All right, so I understand why you go for it there, but I think it would have been a better idea just to go ahead and punt, because you never know what could happen. I mean, the Notre Dame's calling card all year has been creating turnovers, and they did create one, very, very early in the fourth quarter, which led to a touchdown, which got them even closer to Ohio State. So I still think at that time, it wasn't necessarily the right thing to do quite yet, to go for it there, have a little trickeration on 4th down. But hey, what do I know? I don't get paid millions of dollars to make those decisions. I just would have punted it and then put it in the hands of your defense. Let them deliver the way they have time in and time out throughout the season. All right? But, man, what a game. What a game. What a season. I mean, I'm a big fan of the 12-team playoff. I think it was a great success. Like Barat would say, a great success. I do expect there's going to be some tweaks to it. They're already talking the upper echelon, the heads, about what can we do, what can we change for next season to make it better. Hell, I don't know. I think it was pretty damn well put together. I think they did get it right. The 12 best and most deserving teams did earn it and were offered invites to the playoff. And this is what we had. I mean, it's a great game. I mean, great season. And the Big Ten, I mean, I know this is a big talking point right now to where, hey, you know, the Big Ten, are they now back? Are they going to go on this dominant phase, this dominant ride, much like the SEC has during this generation, during this century? I don't quite know. I mean, winning the title back-to-back years, obviously it is trending in the right direction for the Big Ten, but going on that sort of a dominant run like the SEC has, we'll have to just wait and see. I mean, only time will tell. But win or lose, I mean, even if Ohio State would have lost this game, the Big Ten was the best conference this season. It just was. It was I mean, that can't be questioned. It can't be denied. I mean, even the mouth of the South himself, Paul Feinbaum on ESPN, who, as you know, his main demographic are SEC viewers, SEC fans with their, hey, Paul, calling in. Even Paul Feinbaum said Tuesday morning that the Big Ten owns college football right now. All right. So if the shock jock himself says that, there's got to be some truth to it. Okay. So there is a lot of talk of this. I think I'm going to have a separate episode just discussing this. Is it true? Is it fiction? Fact? What's the reasons to believe the Big Ten will continue this? How can the SEC take back the crown? So look for that probably next week. I'm going to have that up. I want to hear from you, Big Ten fans, SEC fans. I want to hear from you all. Please get involved, subscribe, comment, like, share, rate. Can't wait to hear from you. But what a game, what a season. Congratulations again, Ohio State, Notre Dame. What a great season you had too. And I predict that within 5 seasons, Notre Dame will officially be a member of the Big Ten Conference. I mean, they basically are a Big Ten team. I mean, they're right there, right dab smack in the center, basically ground zero for the Big Ten footprint there in northern Indiana. I mean, so they're right there in Big Ten country. And academically, as far as their academic standards, they really line up beautifully. They go hand in hand with the Big Ten and previously the Pac-12, which now is merged primarily with the Big Ten. So I do think Notre Dame ultimately will be in the Big Ten Conference. And within 5 years, that's my long-term prediction. All right? So let me know what you think about the game, about the season. You know, what are you looking forward to next season? What's your insights or thoughts about this game? I want to hear from all of you. Seriously, you don't have to be a Hawkeye fan to enjoy the Touchdown Black and Go vlog. It is a safe haven. It is a gathering spot for all college football fans to unite, to share their love for their teams, and give thanks for the greatest sport that we have in this nation that continues to be unmatched and unrivaled. Next week, I will be back. I am going to have, for all of you Hawkeye fans specifically, I will have my Iowa Hawkeye 2024 season year-end review, just to look back on everything that was during this past season for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So be looking out for that. And to get notifications, please click that button, subscribe, like, share, comment. Once again, I can't wait to hear from you. I promise I will get back to each and every one of you much sooner than later, individually via those comments. And I think I might even put out a second episode next week. Hell with it. I'm going to go and do that. My Iowa Hawkeye year-end review. And I'm also going to have my discussion topic episode, SEC and Big Ten, whose future looks brighter. So until next week, enjoy the rest of your work week, your school week, peace, prosperity. Enjoy the upcoming weekend, and I'll see you next week on the Touchdown Black and Go vlog. And thank you for everything that you do. And as always, go Hawks. See you next week. Bye-bye.